That would be slightly awkward. Well, gonna find out if that comes up in the capture. Boop, 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 boop. This time was really terrible. Alright, so a non-binary billboard by me. I think it's obvious what we're doing here, so let's dive right in. Alright, so there are going to be 4 sections to this presentation. We're going to talk about what I think the principles are for non-binary art and related works, for the principles of good billboard design, as well as the current state of kind of LGBT billboards and, in general, the current state of LGBT advertisements and public service announcements. And then we'll kind of course, talk about the design I made resulting from those observations. So, I think there are at least kind of 3 core themes to non-binary art: reality, absurdity, and futurity. Reality is kind of the base level. There is more than man and woman. This is establishing the concept of non-binary gender. There is absurdity that deals with the entrenchment of gender in our society, how rigidly it is enforced, and how ultimately poor it is as a kind of valid descriptor of people, and how meaningless it is given how important we seem to think it is. And of course, futurity, which is about showing and incorporating non-binary people into everyday life and kind of showing that they are deserving of and should have happy, normal lives. I think a great example of this is the all-gender bathroom plaque, because one, it clearly establishes the reality of a non-binary gender beyond man and woman. It also is a symbol historically of the gender binary and kind of the entrenchment of that concept. And it is also futurity. It is incorporating non-binary people into everyday situations. So I think this is a good manifestation of the 3 principles. Okay, and so billboard design, chiefly the ad council. I really like these people. I think they make terrific stuff. And so kind of they were the inspiration for me wanting to do this. So let's look at kind of not necessarily the cleverest billboards, but I think the most effective that I could find. There are 3 here. 1 in 5 kids faces hunger. You'll need nothing else than that. That's it. Very few words, the point is immediately conveyed. My friends got me, my friends got mental illness. Problem and solution incorporated into one. Great efficiency. Like, my friend has mental illness. Oh no, I need to do something about this. What can I do? My friends got me. Hey, I should help my friend. It is very clear. Even more clear is this last one. There's a tornado coming to my house. Oh my god. Ah! What do I do? Don't wait. Well, of course not. There's a tornado coming to my house. What do I do? Make a plan. Bingo bango. So you can distill these, and of course I did, into kind of, they all present a problem with human consequences and a clear solution. And they do it with just kind of elegant efficiency and conciseness. I obviously don't have the resources of these people, so my project won't be to quite this caliber, but this is kind of, it's a very fun challenge, I think, to design something that has to communicate so efficiently. So it was this method and this framework that I'm trying to fold in kind of non-binary themes. And so the current state of queer billboards. Yep. So here are 2 examples. Before I get into these, there's a 3rd example, which is billboards are the domain of more conservative viewpoints often. Conservative point, putting it very generously, like this. And so we're going to hide that. Part of making a billboard is also kind of making ourselves known in that space, putting non-binary ideas into that kind of mainly kind of anti-LGBT dominated space. But here's the current state. Here on the left we have Piccadilly Circus in London big, bright banner of trans rights or human rights. And then on the right, we have, I think, a rather lazy, but well laid out, Pride Month Corona ad that has like some rainbow lines and maybe some stuff about tops and bottoms. I don't know. It's not great. But these do have something in common, and that is they are limited to visibility. They don't go beyond that. It's just about making LGBT people visible, saying we exist. And so that is the current state, and I want to go a bit beyond that. So let's talk about my methodology. First thing, I want to go beyond visibility and reality into the futurity level. I want to make a call to action. Rather than just saying we are here, I want to say here's what you can do to help us. The call to action I chose was encouraging proper language use. And so part of this project for me is assuming that because there's still a lot of visibility work to be done, a lot of communication on that front that still needs to happen, because like not everybody knows what non-binary is. So part of this project assumes a level of familiarity, or at least kind of awareness of a non-binary gender concept framework in the public. So this is kind of anticipating the next step. So this billboard that I've made is not necessarily for today. It is about kind of what is the next phase. Speaking of which, I want to target the aware apathetic, because if you know about non-binary genders, you have kind of three options. You can be against them, you can be for them, kind of supportive, or you can be apathetic. And I think the vast majority of people are apathetic. So we don't have to worry about the supportive people, they're doing a good job. And I really don't think a billboard is going to change people who are very against it. So what I want to do is take that biggest chunk of people, those who are aware but just kind of don't see it as a high priority, don't care, don't see what they can do, and move them into the supportive allyship group. So that is the target audience that I'm aiming at, is kind of taking those apathetic people and encouraging them to be supportive. And of course, integrating that into the ad council framework, I need to take a breath. So human consequences with a clear solution. I wanted to communicate misgendering and show intervention in that scenario. Somebody is getting misgendered and you intervene and kind of either using proper language or encouraging other people to do it, correcting people, etc. So those are my own personal goals that I'm trying to achieve, I suppose. And so I guess, without further ado, here's what I came up with. Be there for them. I'm going to let you kind of sit here and look at it for a bit, then I'll get into talking about it. Okay, so be there for them. This is the billboard version. I have actually also marked this up in other aspect ratios. I will show you shortly. It is obviously divided into two main sections. One is a 3-panel comic and one is the tagline. The tagline, I went through so many bloody taglines. Be there for them. It's nice, it's quick, it's forward. What should you do? You should be there. Who? For them. Of course, them emphasized because it is the pronoun. In this instance, we have a subtitle that is that makes clear what you should be doing, and it's using their pronouns. And of course, we have, I imagine an ad council would say, hey, very good photographer, go out there, fetch an image for our billboard. I can't do that with my present skill set and situation. So, and I really wanted to try out kind of comic panel design. It's been something that's been kind of on my mind and radar for a while that I wanted to try out. And so I've kind of modeled this comic after those bathroom symbols, because for one, I think they're the most recognizable identifier of non-binary gender. And also, they necessarily invoke gender because those are the primary context we see them in. Also, the aspect ratio of the comic is hopefully evoking of that. And of course, we have a non-binary person kind of getting misgendered left and right, kind of struggling with it, and then a friend, an ally, ideally the viewer, who kind of steps in and is there for this person. And of course, down the bottom we have the Ad Council logo and a website. Of course, we can de-emphasize the .com because really the .com is pointless to put on anything because everything's Google these days. But I figure we could leave it in there because it works here, and kind of also emphasizing personal pronouns also gives further clarity to what the billboard is meaning. But let's look at the other aspect ratio, which this is more for bus stops and kind of subway stations, that kind of thing. Where we have a little bit more space to elaborate here because people will not be driving by so quickly. We can say a bit more for the people who are just standing around. Hope your trans and non-binary friends by using their preferred terms and standing up for them. Again, them is emphasized because we have a theme. Also, the colors are all taken from the respective kind of trans and non-binary flags. And of course, a thank you, which I think is very important for encouraging people. I also have some low-res but free mock-ups that I've kind of made these into. And so we can have a bus stop, subway stairs, and of course a billboard. And I think this does a good job of contextualizing them, where kind of the key message is very bold and bright and very visible. Given that the comic is a tad abstract, perhaps more than a tad, I definitely wanted to make sure that the text could convey the meaning on its own, but that hopefully the iconography is there to elicit some emotional response as well, such that I don't know, you can kind of see the non-binary person struggling and that they kind of feel better when you help them. So that is all for this presentation. Oh, there are of course more images of these and kind of high resolution down below. Thank you very much. This was really fun to make and a fun challenge to work towards.